Hey guys, so today we're going to be looking at an exponent rule called the product of powers. And essentially what this rule says is if I have two numbers that are being multiplied together, and notice how this is x to the a times x to the b, if these are the same exact base, we call this, then what I can do when I multiply these two bases together is I can just simply add their exponents together. Okay, so let's look at this in a couple examples. So to start off on an easy side, here we have a pretty simple problem. It's s to the third times s to the 14th. Number one, are these the same base right here? Are these the same? And one of them is s and the other is s, so yes, they're the same exact base. So since they're being multiplied together, I can use my product of power rules. So if I go back up here and I think about this entire rule here, whenever I have the same exact base being multiplied together, I can simplify it down by writing it as the base and then adding the exponents together. So here, what would I do? This would become s, because it's the base s, to the 3 plus 14th power. And so my short answer would just simply be s to the 17th power. So s to the third times s to the 14th is just s to the 17th power. So now let's look at this one. So first and foremost, I recognize that this is the same base. Both of them has s as their bases, and these two are being multiplied together. It's s to the negative 4th times s to the 7th. And so now what my product of powers rules tells me I can do is that I can just do s to the negative 4th times s to the 7th. So this is just really s to the negative 4 plus 7 power. And we can simplify that down because what's negative 4 plus 7? Well, that's just 3. So my answer is s to the third power. Okay, so here are a couple of pretty basic examples, and I'm going to show you a couple of more complicated examples here right now. And here they are. So here we have the product of powers rules again. And what I notice here is that I have r to the third times s to the 7th times r to the third. And not all of these have the same bases like my product of powers rules says that I have to have. The two bases need to be the same in order for me to use this law. So I can't really use this s to the 7th in this law. But since all of this is being multiplied together, I can actually multiply these two bases together as the product of powers rules. So let's go ahead and erase these arrows and we'll write it in this way. I could write it as r to the third times r to the third times s to the 7th, right? If we're multiplying numbers together, it doesn't matter what order we multiply them in, it still comes out to be the same thing. So this whole thing can be thought of as this expression now. And so now I can use my product of powers law, and I can say, well, r to the third times r to the third is just r to the 3 plus 3, okay, and then s to the 7th, which means my answer is going to be r to the 6 times s to the 7. And so this is my final answer here. And this is as far as we can simplify it down. We cannot do our product of powers rules because these two bases are not the same. So this is the most simplified answer that we could do. A very common mistake when students are doing this for the first time is they will write this as r to the 13th power. Well, this is not r to the 13th power. If this was an r here, then it would be r to the 13th power. But since these have different bases, r to the 13th power is not the answer. This is my final answer right here. So let's look at that one more time. So here I have another trap that people fall into sometimes. They think, oh, well, I just, all I need to do is add up all the exponents. So they'll say r to the first power plus to the third power plus to the 4th power because all of the r's have 1, 3, and 4 as their exponents, so I'll just add them together, right? And then this remains s to the 1st power. So this is just r to the 8th power, s to the 1st. Is this right? And the answer is no, this is not right. The reason why it's not right is because these two r's, they're being multiplied together, but this r is not being multiplied. As you can see, there is a plus symbol here. So we need to make sure that the plus symbol does not work in our product of powers. If I'm adding together two numbers, like if I have r to the 3rd plus r to the 4th, this is not r to the 7th because of the addition symbol. The product of powers is saying when I multiply two bases together, then I can add their exponents. So we need to make sure that we keep that in mind. So over here, I can't really simplify this down any further because there aren't any bases that are the same for me to combine the exponents. So this is just going to stay as r1 s to 1 plus, now these are two bases that are the same that are being multiplied together. So I can write this as r to the 3 plus 4, which is equal to r1 s1 plus r to the 7th power. And this is going to be my answer. This is a more difficult one for introductory level learners, but this just demonstrates that in order to use this property, we have to make sure they're being multiplied together. Okay, so I hope this helps. Please let me know if you have any more questions on this. I'm going to post a video on why the product of powers rule makes sense. If you'd like to check out that video, go ahead and check it out right now. I'll put it on the screen. Otherwise, have a nice day.